Guten Tag, everyone. Hello, my name is Calling Me Crazy. Welcome back to the channel. I don't know why, but I wanted to start out with some German. I actually took German in college and high school, so might as well flex it a little bit. I don't really remember that much, but anyways, hi. We're here with another inbox video, and if you want to send your own questions, I have a Google form down in the description. If you want to go send down there, you can also choose your gameplay. And today we got some ghosts. I was actually pretty surprised someone chose some ghost gameplay. I had to chop it up quite a bit. I'm playing on whiteout right here, as you see with all the snow. This is a very pretty map. It's also a really big map, and not a lot of people play Ghosts anymore. I'm playing on like one of the IW6 servers on PC for Steam. If you were curious of how I got this footage, not a lot of people are on here. I think maybe like two other players in this entire lobby were real. The rest of them were bots. So take that with a grain of salt. And I had to chop it up a bit because this map's pretty big, so I didn't really run into that many enemies while I was, walking around. But I got some good kill streaks, which was fun to see. And yeah, so today's question we got is a really short one, and I kind of split it up into different categories, and you'll see what I mean by that. So the question is, when you never experience fear, how can you ever feel brave? I know it's really short one, and kind of the really quick answer is you can't. You can't really feel fear, or you can't feel brave if you don't really feel some type of fear. It kind of goes the same as, light and dark. If you have darkness, then you can have lightness. But if you don't have one, you can't have the other. There's no such thing as light if there's no darkness to be had, and there's no such thing as dark if there's no lightness to be had. And you could take that with anything really. And I kind of came up with like three fears I guess I've experienced personally, and also I think like a lot of you guys could relate. And I didn't really know how else to answer this question. It was just so short, but I like the idea and I like the theme of talking about fear and like facing your fears. So one big one, and I think a lot of us talk about as guys, 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds, maybe a little teenagers, like late teens, throughout guys' lives usually nowadays, overcoming the fear of girls and just talking to women. I know, big concept, crazy concept. There are women we can talk to, or girls we could talk to that are that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. But sometimes it's really tough. Some of us maybe have never had a girlfriend before, haven't really had any sort of relationships romantically in that sense. I have plenty of times, at least, or at least a good handful. I wouldn't say a lot. I don't go around chasing the bag every every other month or so, like some people do. I'm not that type of person. I try to cherish my relationships, and it's not that hard talking to girls. I feel like it's not really that hard. There's obviously ones that you talk to like out in public, maybe at a bar or something, or I don't know, you're out and about with some family or shopping. Maybe not the best, appropriate place to talk to women sometimes. But you never know. You could strike up a conversation with anybody, and it could go wherever you think it could go. Maybe talking to women online, that's also a thing where you get ghosted really easily. I feel like that's not a great place to really get your feet wet if you want to try to overcome your fear of talking to women. But it's really just like, you got to treat them as like another person, dude. They're just another person. Be friendly, that's really important. Don't be mean or ugly to them. Treat them with kindness, and I honestly probably promise you, maybe 8 out of 10 times, they're going to treat you with the same respect. At least a little bit, Depends on the person. Some people are crazy out here, so you never know. But overcoming that fear, just try to relax and think about, this is one of my homies, maybe. Like, try to think of him not as a dude, but, this is a friend that I could, eventually create a relationship with later down the road if you're thinking about that, or just make friends. I have a friend that's a girl. We met in one of my German classes in college, and she's great. I travel with her. We go to different cities sometimes. She's fantastic. I love talking to her. She's one of my best friends. So that is definitely a possibility. Just making friends with girls is a really easy way to get, I think, that over that fear, and then that could later lead to relationships. There's also the fear of missing out. Missing out is really like FOMO is such a big thing nowadays with social media, and you see all your friends like doing different things, especially when you get older. Like I'm about to be 25, and I don't. There's like some friend groups I don't really talk to much anymore. Not because we're not friends anymore, but just because we don't see each other, we don't interact, we don't come in contact with each other as much, and you kind of miss out on things. And then just like trends, people that are really addicted to social media trends and wanting to do all sorts of things, and this sort of like infection of like hobbyists making their hobby like a marketable thing or something like a business related thing, where it's like a hobby should just be a hobby, dude. You shouldn't have to really market your hobby and like make money off of it. I think that's kind of a bad stigma to have if you are into something specific, maybe like Pokemon, for instance. That's such a big hobby that I feel like it's been popularized for quite a while now, especially after COVID. There's so many people that love Pokemon, man. I don't get it. I've probably talked about this plenty of times, but I'm not a guy that likes Pokemon very much, and seeing more and more people get into it makes me less and less get into it, kind of deal. Not that I don't like popular things, but I'm just not that type of guy to get into trends and stuff like that. And sometimes it costs a lot of money, but you're not really missing out. I feel like it's really good to detox away from the phone and away from social media. Like I've been reading a book recently that's been great. I read it for about maybe like 2 hours every other day or so, and it's really refreshing, and it gets my mind off of things that aren't important to me that I feel like I'm missing out on. So like FOMO, that's a tough one to get over. I feel like a lot of people have a hard time getting over FOMO, but it is possible, and I think that's something that's achievable. And I feel like it starts with putting down the phone for sure. And then the last one is kind of like a more philosophical one, um, and like self-identity. It's the fear of being comfortable of who you are as a person. And I feel like everybody needs this. I mean, we go through midlife crises, we go through quarter life crises now, with like how much things cost nowadays, and how am I making a career? If you're that type of person to want a career, education, like is college right for me? All these big questions that are life changing, really. And it's just really important to have like a core part of yourself, like who you are as a person. I feel like I'm kind of like a funny guy. I like to be funny. I like to laugh. I think that's a big part of me. And even though it's cliche and common, a lot of people like to laugh and talk about humor, but it's a way to keep me grounded. I feel like I like to joke a lot. I like to hang out with friends, talk to people that I'm close knit with. I like making new friends, making interactions with new people. And sometimes my identity, I guess, shifts depending who I'm talking to, and that's normal. I feel like it's a normal thing. You kind of mirror the people that you're attracted to, whether that's a friendship or relationship or even just family members. That's super common and super important, I think, as a person to be comfortable with who you are, and then just be able to share things with people without having fear of really being ashamed or embarrassed. So I feel like that's super important. That's sort of my last fear I wanted to touch on. I really appreciate this question coming in, even though it was a really simple one. I think I stretched it out a good bit for this gameplay. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. And again, thank you for submitting this question. If you want to submit a question, remember, I got the Google form down below. And yeah, that's all I got for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!